So before we begin, I just want to acknowledge that we're meeting on the traditional, ancestral, unceded territories of the First Nations and Native American peoples. So here where I am in Vancouver, those peoples are the Musqueam, Tsleil-Waututh, and Squamish nations. But I know where many of you are, you're on the land of other nations. And please feel free to put those nations' names in the chat. Always, but especially during these difficult days, let's remember our connection to our siblings in these nations and pray for the day in which we might be with them in right relationship. So welcome. Welcome to Living Interfaith. Know that the whole of you is welcome. You're not asked to leave who you are in your own homes. Please bring who you are in with you. But what you are asked to remember is that everyone around you has brought who they are in with them as well. And all of goodwill are welcome. When you're ready, let's sing.
Is no caravan of despair. Come yet again, come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of leaving. Ours is no caravan of despair.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Bruce and Cheryl. So before we get started, I have just two announcements. That's the fewest announcements in a long time, actually. That's great. So the first is that our annual council meeting is going to be right after the service, starting at 11:30. So everyone is welcome to stay for that if you like. I promise if you stay, I won't make you join the council, although I might strongly suggest it. But yes, so we'll be having that meeting and just going over what we've done in the last year and what we're hoping to do in this coming year. So thanks. We'd love to have you with us if you're interested. Also, 2 weeks from today, on June 18th, we will have a service in the morning for National Indigenous Peoples Day. I'm really excited. Actually, it's a friend of mine who's a native Hawaiian who speaks about her experience there. It should be super interesting. Her name's Kauanoi. Haumataui, I think. But afterwards in the afternoon, so June 18th at 2 p.m., we're going to have our first in-person event for folks who are here in the Lower Mainland. So we haven't met in person in years, but it'll just be a picnic barbecue at Trout Lake, so the John Hendry Park, and it'll be in the south side of that near the playground. So if folks want to come, and it's both to get together. It's also to celebrate. Some of us have graduated and also I got ordained last time. Thank you so much, Stephen and others. And I know Bryn Crafty is getting ordained next week. So we're very excited. And he's not here, so I can say it's also going to be a birthday party for him because he just turned 70. But that part's a secret. So yes, if you'd like to come in person, that'd be great and celebrate with us. So I think that's it for council meetings, for events. Anything else?
Well, first, you know that this is being recorded, so if he watches this later, he'll find out about the secret birthday party.
Yes, but he's very busy, so I don't think he will.
I do also have an announcement, which is that not this coming Monday, but the following Monday, June 13th, I'm giving a talk on climate change at the Unitarian Church in Vancouver. It's located at 49th and Oak. For those of you who are local, it'll also be live streamed over YouTube. And the talk is titled Tie Our Camel First, a Muslim Perspective on Climate Action. I'll put in a link to the page on this in the chat. Hope some of you can make it. And it'll also be recorded and will be available online later.
Perfect. Thank you so much. We're very proud of you. Thank you. Any other events or any other announcements folks would like to make?
Well, this is Rebecca. Okay. For anybody who actually does not live in Canada, who lives in the major Seattle area, I'm in a concert. The church that I've been going to is going to be doing a concert in benefit of Doctors Without Borders. It'll be at 1 o'clock tomorrow. So I don't know, you guys are not mostly in that area around here, but we've been working really hard there. We're singing 9 different songs, and we've got a string quartet with us and some percussion. And of the 9 songs, one of them is in Arabic and one of them is in Hebrew, and all the rest are in English, and they are all of them about the kinds of stuff that we talk about here, about honoring each other and being opening our arms and our hearts to other people. And anyway, so the music is wonderful. The lyrics are wonderful. So anyway.
That sounds beautiful. Oh, good luck tomorrow. I'm so sorry. I know I won't be able to make it in person, but I hope other folks are, that you get a great turnout, Rebecca.
Yeah.
Rebecca, will it be streamed anywhere? Will there be video of it? Do you know?
I don't know the answer to that. I don't think so. Because they're hoping people will come in person and make donations, so I don't know. You'd think that I would have more information that I could pass on, but it's like, oh, well. Okay, thank you.
Well, I wish you well. I'm in the right area, but I'm not mobile, so
yeah,
all the best. And I am terribly disappointed that you don't know everything, Rebecca. Good grief.
I know. I try, but it just.
Rebecca, can you type in the location in the chat for people? Just type that in there, day and time. That'll help.
Okay.
That'd be great. Thank you.
And I have an announcement too. The Carl Jung Society of Vancouver has been occasionally meeting online over the last couple of years, and they're having a talk coming up next week on the 10th of June at 7:30, and it's online. So if anybody doesn't live in Vancouver and is curious to attend, this particular talk will be about Carl Jung's understanding about alchemy, ritual, and rebirth. So it sounds quite good. I'll put a link in the chat if anybody's curious to attend as well.
That sounds awesome. That's great. Thank you. All right. And then when everyone's ready, let's just come into silence for a moment and then do our opening prayer. So sorry, I hear this noise. Oh, I'm sorry. There we go. Spirit of life, spirit of earth, spirit of all that breathes and all that is, we love you. We love this planet and its people and its beings. We love this interdependent web of all existence of which we are a part. We love it all, and we want it all to be well and blessed and healthy. But we are human, and as a people, our hearts are still small. So often our love and our sincere desire for the well-being of all is not yet enough to restrain our collective desire for more, for ourselves, more money, more power, more things. Often we act in the service of that desire for more in ways that harm our fellow humans and the countless beings with whom we share this earth. And so often, even when we would do otherwise, we feel powerless. The problems are so big, the scale so enormous. What can one person or one small group really do? But today, let our prayer be for hope and the commitment to stay in the struggle, to do what's right as best we can each day, and to love you, spirit of earth and ocean, stars and rocks, beings of every kind, not least our human neighbors, to love this glorious whole as we love ourselves, for we are you and you are us. Blessed be. Flame of fire, spark of the universe that warmed our ancestral hearth, agent of life and death, the symbol of truth and freedom, we strive to understand ourselves and our earthly home. And now when you're ready, feel free to unmute and we'll offer one another a sign of peace. Peace, everyone. So wonderful being with you today.
Peace to all.
Peace. Assalamu alaikum. Shalom.
Peace, my
Peace.
friends. Aloha.
Peace,
Allahu Abha.
peace and comfort.
Everyone.
Shalom to everybody.
Peace to one and all.
May your hearts be settled.
Thank you. When you're ready, let's sing.
We are circling, circling together. We are singing, singing our song. This is family, this is unity, this is celebration, this is sacred. We are spiraling, spiraling together, onward, inward, creature to creation, holy history, Mother Earth, childbirth, this is Mother Nature, this is sacred. We are spinning, spinning all together, we are singing over the rainbow, this is harmony, this is community, this is celebration, this is sacred. We are circling, circling together, we are singing, singing our song, this is family, this is unity, this is celebration, this is sacred, this is sacred, this is sacred.
Woo, that was great. Thank you so much. How beautiful. And now if you'll join me in our joint affirmation. We come together in peace. We sing together in joy and with love. We worship together in one house, a house with names beyond number. Our paths are many, our beliefs are as leaves, and the tree that we cleave to is nourished by the light of compassion, justice, and mutual respect. May our lives, our beliefs, and our actions help to bring about the world of love we all seek. and let it begin here. Now is when we take some time to pray in our own homes and in our own ways for various things going on in the world. As always, there are so many things that need our prayers. But I think if we take some time to pray for the victims of the mass shootings that have happened in the US over the last few weeks, there have unfortunately been many, too many to name, and some of them particularly devastating. So if we just take some time now to pray for the victims and also their families, also everyone else just living in fear and hurt and grief right now, we might figure out some way that we can help protect everyone going forward. Thank you. When you're ready, let's sing. Beautiful. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for all your support. Now is when I usually say that I would pass around a basket if we met in person, but instead I'll just put our donation page in the chat. And I'm just so grateful to everyone here who already does donate so much and does so much to support us. So thank you for maintaining this community and helping us thrive. Also, Stephen will glare at me viciously if I don't mention that we should also, if we have some money, donate to Doctors Without Borders. Stephen is so stalwart about always mentioning them. We're very grateful. And then it's wonderful that Rebecca's concert tomorrow is going to be a fundraiser for them as well. So if you have some extra funds and you can send them to Doctors Without Borders, that would be wonderful. Or if not, the Indian Residential School Survivor Society also could definitely use some support. So extra funds their way would be great. Thank you. Are there any other causes that we want to lift up at this time? If not, that's okay. If you think of them later, feel free to put them in the chat. And otherwise, when you're ready, Bruce and Cheryl, thank you for leading us.
From you I receive, to you I give. Together we share, and from this we live. From you I receive, to you I give. Together we share, and from this we live. From you I receive, to you I give. Together we share, and from this we live.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. And now it's my joy to turn it over to Reverend Samaya Oakley. She is the minister of the South Fraser Unitarian Congregation in the South Surrey area here south of Vancouver. And she's just a tireless advocate for so many social justice causes and the environment. So I was just so excited to have her join us today. We're lucky we just got her back off sabbatical. So hopefully this is not too stressful coming back into work in this way. But thank you. So over to you, Samaya. Thank you.
Thank you. What a delightful, caring, heartfelt community you are. My heart is just overflowing just being here with you. It has been just a real joy. So I invite us to just take a moment and breathe. Breathe in this space. This virtual space that only this gathered assembly can create with our presence and our intentions. So thank you. Thank you for being here. You matter. We're here to turn our hearts and our minds towards the celebration of World Environment Day, which has become one of the largest global platforms for environmental outreach. And because you are here, I know that in many ways, I'm in essence preaching to the converted. The need and the urgency to work towards preserving and protecting this planet and all living beings is something that I know every single one of us feels deeply in our bones, in our bodies, and in our very being. And I'm also going to hazard a guess that most of us, if not all of us, can remember a time when this realization first sunk into our bodies, into our bones. For me, it was very early on an August morning in 2017, around 7 a.m., when I was boarding a Washington State ferry on my way to officiate at a wedding. And at that time in August, the sun is just rising at around 7 o'clock. And as I got out of my car, I looked over and I saw the sun rising in the east. And you know, ferry lineups, you know, there's several lanes of cars, and there were 2 other lanes beside my car before you could look outside. And as I looked out into that open space on the ferry, I could see this young father with a toddler on his shoulders, and they were gazing out at the sunrise together. And I have to tell you, it was at that moment that my heart broke. And the realization that what we were looking at would be considered normal for this toddler. 2017 was the year of the forest fires and the days when the sun shone this. Do you remember that apocalyptic orange? And I had trouble reconciling myself with the idea that what would have been a typically idyllic moment between a father and his child became something else with this apocalyptic orange view. And my heart was filled with such sadness, for I was struck with the realization that the children growing up now would have the reality of global warming and climate change as that's just how the world is. Now, for people of my generation and older, this is a new reality that we need to grapple with. And it was the beginning of a process for me to explore how I could begin to hold myself personally accountable to the planet, Mother Earth, Gaia, on whose very existence I lived, and she was being compromised on a scale that had never been seen before. And I decided then and there that I wanted to be a part of the curve that would try and help to turn back this tide. And as most people do in the middle of such existential wondering, I looked to my faith to begin to help me make meaning of this new reality that I was just beginning to grasp the magnitude of. That image of this father and his toddler looking out at that apocalyptic orange sun is what spurred that exploration forward for me. Now, as Canadian Unitarian Universalists, we covenant to affirm and promote 8 principles using 6 sources as our authoritative texts. 2 of our principles are worthy of examination when we begin to look at and celebrate World Environment Day. The first is the inherent worth and dignity of every person. And as I reflected on that image of the father and his child, I began to see that perhaps our religious forefathers like Ralph Waldo Emerson and Henry David Thoreau's connection with the environment and nature came from a solitary lens. The writings of Henry David Thoreau were made into a book on Walden Pond, where he called us into an isolated connection with the natural world. The message was that we retreated into nature to distance ourselves from the injustices of the world. And in his essay, Nature, Emerson famously calls us into solitude to gain insight and wisdom from the natural world, to free ourselves from the distractions of society. We're to look at the stars. The rays that come from the heavenly worlds will separate us and vulgar things. And I found that this focus was primarily on what it meant to be fully human and did not consider all the beings of the earth and the earth herself, who is clearly in distress. Our 7th principle calls us to affirm and promote the interdependent web of existence of which we are a part. In the words of Martin Luther King Jr., we are caught in an inescapable network of mutuality tied to a single garment of destiny. Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. There are some things in our social system to which all of us ought to be maladjusted. And I began to ask myself how my faith called to me to respond as I wrestled with my own maladjusted view, as I remembered this scene of this father and his toddler. And I began to seek an understanding of what it means to be human in faithful relationship, or what we might say right relationship with the rest of the earth community. And I began to engage with the work of environmental justice that seeks to repair environmental devastation while at the same time addressing gross injustices within the human family. In his 1949 landmark text, A Sand County Almanac, Aldo Leopold brings forth the idea for the development of a land ethic in which we as human beings begin to understand ourselves as co-equal citizens of a land community. His core argument lies in this quote, "A thing is right when it tends to preserve the integrity, stability, and beauty of the biotic community. It is wrong when it tends otherwise," end quote. And it was in that statement that I began to see how little emphasis we've been placing on developing right relationships between humanity and the land, non-human animals, and plants. And it was here that I began to see that our seventh principle of the interdependent web of existence could help me to respond to the need for a land ethic while simultaneously seeking justice for all people and all beings. And it has been mentioned, I've come back from a 5-month sabbatical where I was able to cross one of the things off my bucket list, a visit to Haida Gwaii. And I have to tell you, it was incredibly humbling to be on the land where people have existed for anywhere from 6,000 to 8,000 years, and to see their creation story in the landmarks. And everywhere I went, whether it was on my hike up to Toe Hill or to visit the site of the ancient golden spruce that was felled in 1997 by a misguided forestry engineer, there were stories of connection, stories of interbeing. Because you see, for the Haida people, the land, the rivers, and the trees are all personified and held as sacred beings in relationship with the human family. It's the people and the land that create an interdependent web that is mutually beneficial to all. And to give you an example, one of the plaques by the golden spruce tree has these words on it, and it's put on a tree so large that I could barely put my arms around it. I mean, my arms went almost to the width of it, not around the tree. And this is what it says: "I am the grandmother of the Haida, one of thousands of trees, yew, spruce, cedar, pine, hemlock, and alder, that grow to provide, nurture, and teach. The Haida use my bark for weaving baskets, my wood for carving canoes, and my branches as canes for Haida elders. Among my other uses, the Haida acknowledge and thank us for providing and never take more than they need. I am life. I am an ancestor of the people of the cedar. I remain in the heart of the Haida." So you can see how that energy was so palpable. I found it so gentle and deep. I could not help but be touched. And going back to Aldo Leopold, in that same text, he writes that land then is not merely soil. It is a fountain of energy flowing through a circuit of soils, plants, and animals. And he invites us to recognize the life and unity of this planet that we live on. And when we do so, we broaden our understanding of what community is And we're much better prepared for a more mindful and ethical relationship with the environment in which we live. And so over this next week, I'm going to give you a little bit of homework if you're so interested and willing. I'm going to invite you into an exercise to deepen your connection with the circuit of soils, plants, and animals. What I'd like you to do is to set aside 15 to 20 minutes in a spot outdoors. And if you're living on the Pacific Northwest, that means, well, hopefully it won't be raining, where you can be alone in uninterrupted. Now, you can do this sitting or standing. If you're unable to get outside for whatever reason, you can do this in your home, sitting down as well. All you need to do is to take time to face each of the directions: east, south, west, north, up, and down. And in each of those directions, take as much time as you need to focus in on what you see, what you feel, what you hear, what you smell. Deepen into the experience. Breathe deeply into each of the directions. And when you're done, express your gratitude to the earth and all the living beings on it, giving thanks for that time of connection. And to go a little deeper, if you so wish, you don't have to. Take time to share your reflections with a friend or journal about it. And for an even deeper experience, do it a couple times a week for a month. See where it goes. Because it is in breathing together. It is in breathing together with each other, with the earth, the plants, and the animals, that we deepen those connections, that we ground our bodies in this living circuit with our energies flowing back into the earth, relearning the lessons of connection with the natural world. May it be ever so. Amen. Namaste. Ashe. Blessed be.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. That was so powerful and meaningful. And even though I just finished school and thought I was done with homework, yes, I will take the time to do that homework. That is a very good use of our time. Thank you so much, Reverend Samaya. Bruce and Cheryl, when you're ready, we'll sing our closing song.
Once more the windswept storm clouds. Suddenly the sky has wings. God has come to reign among us, giving hope to all dry things. Sing a song of splashing waters, pulsing through the veins of earth. Taste the moisture of the morning, smoother than the best red wine. Toast the lifeblood of the planet. Here's to God's wild, wet design. Sing a song of flowing waters, pulsing through the veins of earth. View on mist that brushed the skin. Earth is breathing God's own spirit, life renewed from deep within. Sing a song of living waters, pulsing through the veins of earth.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. Friends, thank you so much for this. Thank you for joining us, Samaya, and sharing your hopeful message, really grounding message. As we go forth from this sacred space, I hope we'll celebrate the earth and our shared lives. Let us recognize our connection to all that's in and on the earth. Let's truly and deeply value the inherent worth of all. In this awesome interconnected web of existence, may we commit ourselves to a new way and hold our commitments to each other, gently yet firmly. Blessed be, and amen.